Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the best dialogue on planet Earth. And why is it the best dialogue on planet Earth? It's because I have Professor Piet Wilhelm, man, myth, and legend, a great guy right there, Triton Fight Center owner, as one may say, but more importantly, a good friend of mine. And I've been excited to do this with you, Professor, get you on the mic. Why? Because bottom line is, once you peel back the orange layer, we are very similar. We're just two small business owners in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, trying to make a little bit of a difference.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think you're big time.
Oh, you think I'm big time?
You're big time. You're a high roller.
Now, we're not talking about the size of my guns. I'm talking about how we run our businesses, as one may say, but I appreciate the compliment right there. So a little thing right here, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Tulsa, Broken Arrow, has gained popularity in recent years for a good reason. Across the globe, thousands of people are reaping the benefits from studying this modern combative art. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has been tried and tested in real-life situations, I'm sure you could probably agree to, as in addition to the ring. Many police departments and military branches has discovered the benefit of teaching this practical style to their officers and soldiers. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is not only for professional fighters. No matter your age or fitness level, you too can benefit from training at the Triton Fight Center, led by Black Belt, Mr. Professor Piet Wilhelm. You got your Black Belt October 23rd, 2010, correct?
Correct.
See, I did my homework. You like that, don't you?
You did.
All right, so
Stalker.
Mr. Piet, why don't you just go ahead and tell us about yourself and tell the people maybe a couple of things they don't know.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm a new grandparent.
Oh, congratulations.
That's pretty exciting. I did some time in the military, got out of the military. Just a quick summary, got out of the military. I was like, what do I do with my life? And, I knew how to teach people how to hurt one another and just got into jiu-jitsu. Stayed with it.
Yeah. So. Excellent. Something that one of the first things we talked about when I came here, I think a lot of people think this when they walk through these doors and they see these great mats and the boxing bags and the mats are packed. I think a lot of people automatically feel like, wow, I want this. I think I could do this or whatnot. Has it always been like this?
No, most definitely not. It's not something that happens overnight. It takes quite some time, a lot of sacrificing. I mean, it was almost like I've put in a little bit more sacrifice getting this started and up and going than some of the sacrifices that I had when I was in the military as a single parent or as a husband at the time as well too. So definitely you put in a lot of hours and a lot of behind the scenes to make it flourish the way it has.
Yeah. You think about all these successful business owners, they started in their garage. Didn't you start in your garage or no?
Yes and no. I initially started out of a Boys and Girls Club in Beaufort, South Carolina. So they were looking for volunteers to essentially work with kids that as an after-school program. So whenever I was not on the drill field yelling at future Marines and teaching martial arts to the Marine Corps, I would volunteer my time to the Boys and Girls Club and teach them some self-defense, some valuable leadership skills as well too.
Yeah.
I got orders to come to Oklahoma, and I started working with some people out of my garage in a very small square-footed area, and evolved to an 8,000 square foot facility.
Wow. So did the trend line just gradually just keep going up as you progressed, or was it kind of ups and downs?
There was a lot of ups and downs and a lot of playing of fields from time to time, just because we were not growing. We were very stagnant. And so, there was a lot of peaks and valleys in the process. And a lot of it came down to the way I was carrying myself and what I was allowing in my facility at the same time as well too. Sometimes you'll just take any client in just to fill the mats, but when you realize that some particular clients are the ones that is the reason why like 5 other clients would leave, that's when you have some growth, in how you run your business and like, I got to cut ties with that one cancerous attitude and mentality in order to retain the majority.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I stepped on your mats. I remember that. Came on the mats, had a good roll session, and then after you said something that I wasn't really expecting you to say. It's something on the lines of, hey, look, don't sign up today. Go and check out some other gyms first. You know, make sure you get the full experience to find out what you like and if it's a good fit. You know, and that sounded very empowering, but also confident on your side that you actually encourage people. Now I've been here obviously for 5-6 years. What I've realized now is you are a big component of supporting other small businesses and other small jiu-jitsu gyms. You know, what's led to that passion of you being supportive of watching other businesses grow and like that?
Well, one of the reasons why I encourage people to check out some different places, it's no different than just jumping into a relationship right away and say, you know what, let's get married.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a high chance of that it's probably going to fail.
Yeah.
You got to go out there and test the waters out a little bit. I'm not saying go crazy and start dating every woman in sight.
No,
But it's very much like you don't jump right into a marriage right away without testing out things. You know, going out on a couple of dates and seeing if it's the right fit. You know, and it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. Like if you just go to the first place and you sign up, you might be giving up an opportunity to or a chance to some different growth or some other options out there, because there are some great facilities out in this area. I mean, it's who would think, and 10, 15 years ago, the jiu-jitsu scene was not where it's at right now. I mean, it's truly grown. And the amount of instructors out there, champions, the facilities, there's some amazing places out there. And I want people to experience that before they decide that they want to sign up here. I don't want them to waste my time. I don't want to waste their time. They may very well run across an instructor that really like turns on the light bulb for them, where the learning curve just goes through the roof. And they may see a facility that is very conducive for them and their family and their goals. So, and nobody's going to know what it's like out there unless they go out there and they try to experience it for themselves.
Yeah. Now, the cool thing I love about this gym, and I'm sure this is very popular at other gyms too, is you are the owner of this gym, but also you're on the mats. It seems like every single day you're teaching technique. You're helping people grow in their jiu-jitsu journey. And it's more than obviously just jiu-jitsu also. How do you continually sharpen your act so you're staying on the front lines, keeping up with times, the changes in the sport? How do you always stay on top of your game?
Well, for one, I'm very blessed because I cannot take all the credit. I mean, I'm not the only one that's out there on the mats. I have some other amazing instructors out there that fulfill some of the hours in the schedule. I got one of my black belts, Chris Hutchinson.
Yep.
He's teaching some early morning classes. He teaches some of the evening classes as well too. He's also here on Saturdays. I also have some other guys that are teaching the Muay Thai classes. Johnny and Shabney, both those individuals have taken in that role. One of them is also a jiu-jitsu brown belt. The other one's a jiu-jitsu black belt. And, so that also takes up some of our schedule.
Yeah.
And we also have judo instructors. One of the judo instructors is a black belt. The other judo instructor, he's a judo brown belt. One teaches the kids, one teaches the adults. And then we have a very devoted staff when it comes to the children program. Each one of my kids are broken down into different groups, and all these groups are led by at least one black belt. So, and it's a seasoned black belt. It's not a brand new black belt.
Wow.
Some of these black belts that are teaching, they've been black belts for 2, 3, 4 years. And
they're getting top of the elite level training.
They're getting black belts. They're not getting, and no offense to the academies that are out there that are running kids programs, but a lot of schools have either a blue belt or maybe a purple belt running the kids program.
Yeah.
And our kids programs are being ran by black belts.
Yeah.
And they're broken down into groups of 16 more or less in each one of these groups, and they're being molded by their assigned black belt that they get to see 3 days a week if they choose to come in 3 days a week. So
it's incredible.
And we've seen that the kids truly benefit from that, but not just on the jiu-jitsu, the grappling side of things, but also just mentoring these children. having that interaction. You know, it's
Yeah.
this is a private training facility. This is not a public training facility, so
Yeah.
to speak. And where, you know, you go into like some of the public school systems nowadays, you know, there may be like 30 kids in a class.
Yeah.
You go to some private schools, and I'm talking about like academics, like going to high school, elementary.
Yeah.
Some of these private schools out there, these kids, the private schools, they have like 12, 16 kids in the class. And those kids are usually getting very good attention, you know.
Yeah.
And the kids are in public schools. If the kid,
Now my kids go to public schools.
I don't know, and this is,
Okay, and I'm very bigger than you.
And one of the things about your kids, because I know your children,
Yeah.
they're very resilient. They come from a very good household.
Yeah.
So some kids don't come from a good household, and they're just
Correct.
It's they go in there and it's just the wild bunch.
Yeah.
Your kids go to school understanding the purpose that I need to go to school for an education, and if every kid was engineered and wired that way, public school would be completely different.
Yeah.
But some parents are like, hey, send the kids off to school and they don't care what happens.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up a good point in the past too. It works the same way with your school too. You don't just send your kids here for you guys to be their mommy and daddy and straighten them out, right? They got to come with some type of foundation, right?
Yes, I want kids to come to me that are already disciplined. They have some foundation from the household, from their parents.
Yeah.
And I've often had people come to me and say, I want you to work discipline on my kid. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
Go find another place.
Yeah.
Because it is not my job to discipline your child.
Yeah.
It's my job to reinforce the discipline that they're learning at home.
Yeah.
And that's why we have such a my coaches and myself, we have such a great relationship with the parents here, good communication, good partnership. And the fact that they're broken down into these smaller groups, it also makes things a little bit easier as well too.
Yeah.
So the kids are getting the attention that they deserve. They're getting the attention that their parents pay for.
Yeah. Well, I tip my hat to you, my friend, and the reason why I do that is because you spoke about all the instructors that are here, and I know a majority of them, they're all great individuals for sure. However, I do truly feel like you cast an excellent vibe of culture in your gym, and I feel like, you know, culture comes from top down. So I congratulate you on that, and obviously also the Semperfit class. They have some of the best instructors on the planet, right? Tell us a little bit about working with your amazing wife here. You seems like you guys are a great partnership and do very well together. How's that experience been?
She is amazing. She keeps me grounded. She also has a sidekick that helps her out whenever she's not in class teaching, or even when she's in class teaching. Joel,
Yeah,
he
Jake.
looks like your State Farm.
He looks like Jake from State Farm, doesn't he? Yeah,
100%.
That's a great looking dude. That is. He looks like me too. So there's a lot of resemblance there, you know.
But working with my wife, being in the right relationship, having the right woman in my life has been tremendous, has been life changing. Being married to a godly woman has been my salvation.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I know there's people out there that, you know, want to open their gym, start their own gym. I'm going to ask you a question. What advice do you have for someone that's thinking about starting their own gym? And I think in life, me being a small business owner, I remember when I was in the auto industry for Toyota, and I used to walk past one of the offices, and then one of the guys said, "Chris, come in here, close the door. Here's my business plan." I said, "Well, business plan for what?" "Well, I'm thinking about being an insurance agent, opening my own business." Well, that went on for about 3 or 4 years. In year 5, I went and opened my own business, and 15 years later, that person is still in the auto industry. And I think sometimes one of the hardest things is to get started. What advice do you have for people that want to go out there and do something similar to what you've done?
Well, they should do exactly what you did. You know, go out there, get some research, share a business plan, share the idea, seek out individuals that have done really well, and see how they're doing things.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a few students of mine that open up their own schools in this area, and they're all doing really well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm extremely proud of them, and you know, I encourage people to check out their academies and to cross train over there. And if they find that they enjoy that other facility more, just cancel their membership here and be over there.
Yeah.
It's important that they find the right place for themselves. But that's the thing though. Like a lot of my black belts that have opened up their own school, they've picked my brain. And I'm not saying I have all the answers because I do not, but they've seen where I've done well and they've seen areas where I have failed. So obviously, you want to do the things that I've done well
Yeah.
in order to succeed. You want to avoid the things that I've done poorly, to avoid that hardship.
Yeah.
And so essentially is go out there, seek advice, and go to a mentor, pick their brain, and go from there. And honestly, sometimes some people need to take a hard look at themselves
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they may have the idea, but they may not be the right person to do that job. You know,
Yeah.
maybe they need to open up the place, but hire somebody to run the class.
Man, I think that right there. I think is great knowledge and wisdom you're sharing there. I remember when I was before they gave me the keys to my agency, I sat in front of some executives before they gave you the golden ticket, and they said, "Chris, you've done everything great. You've said the right words. You've acted the right way. You are a pillar in the community." But the only issue we have is how can you let us know confidently that you can execute the details? That's the one question, the one doubt we have. And so I sat back, not in a cocky way, but I sat back in a comfortable way, and I looked him in the eye and I said, I have absolutely no plan to execute the details. But what I am going to do is I'm going to hire 5 people that can execute the details, and I'm going to allow them to do the details, and I'm going to focus on what my strengths are. They threw me the keys, you know. But go ahead.
And you asked earlier, you know, how do I keep up with like the modern things
Yeah.
in jiu-jitsu? And we kind of got bypassed that with the introduction of all my other instructors that we have in this facility.
Yeah.
But that's how I do it.
Yeah.
I have
Love it.
all these other subject duty experts
Yeah.
that love teaching and are great at it.
Yeah.
And those some different fields, such as fitness, because I used to run the fitness class. I took over that fitness class. That fitness class grew. And then one day I found myself caught up in the office. So my lovely wife that I have now, that's been with me for over 10 years, she had to like kind of step in,
Yeah.
and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
And then
Game changer.
And now she has a passion. She's had a passion for it. She does studies. She does research. She does her homework. A lot of it is self-taught, you know, by trial and error. And then, you know, like she's running that program. And then the same thing with, I used to run the takedown class, the judo classes, the Muay Thai classes. I used to teach the mixed martial arts class, all that stuff. But then I had people willing to step up and also show that they can do the job, not just as good as me, but better than me.
Wow.
So I'm like, you know what? You do a better job than me. Have at it, man.
Yeah.
You know? And as far as like keeping up with the modern stuff in jiu-jitsu, I don't. I mean, I teach old school stuff.
Yeah.
I teach what has worked for me. I have a handful of things that I do well.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times they work, you know, they work pretty well. You know?
Yeah.
And it's, I'll get something 9 out of 10 times. You
Yeah.
know, that is that one time where my timing's off.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody's a little bit too resilient, or they went to sleep on me, you know?
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah.
But I got guys like Chris who loves all this modern stuff in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And he's a bloody good coach too.
And
Yeah.
he's an amazing instructor. So, and very detailed as well too. So I got guys like him that if you want to learn some of the more modern stuff that's out there, have at it. Jiu-jitsu has been around for a long time. You know? And I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 1994.
Wow.
And throughout, and I still go back to some stuff that I learned back then, and they work well for me. So when people come and do my class, they're going to get an old school approach.
Yeah. I only get on the mats about once a week, so I spend a lot of time surfing jiu-jitsu stuff to keep my acumen up. And I saw a saying that backs up what you said there is you don't need 10,000 moves. You just need 5 moves that you're really bloody great at.
Correct.
You know? So that's amazing. Well,
and there's some of the world champions that have shared that. You know, Hodger Gracie, look him up.
Yeah.
You know,
what about 2 moves you're good at? I feel like I'm at 2 moves. I need one more to 5. I got 2. The old Ezekiel, as one may say.
Your presence is the first move, right?
Come on now, British beef. Boom, shakalaka. Yes, go, governor. Let's go. Hey, so you've kind of transitioned Hilton it a little bit. You know, I feel like as a small business owner here in Oklahoma or anywhere, matter of fact, there's a difference between working in your business and then working on your business. And I've heard you mention a couple of times that like your vision is to work more on your business from a higher level. You know, how do you continue to make that balance where you can continue to work on your business from a higher level perspective? Do you feel like you're making that transition, or have been, or?
My main focus is making sure that I'm providing a place for my clients.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the business aspects of things, I want to make sure that I'm providing a facility that caters to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, I got people that come in here, they'll walk through the door and like, I have no idea why I'm in here, but I want to try this out. I'm like, okay, sign the waiver. Let's get on the mats or put on the gloves, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Then I have guys that come in here and like, man, I want to be more proficient at my job, more efficient at my job. They're in law enforcement, they're in military.
Yeah.
They want to be more competent in their skill set. So I get clientele that come in here for that as well too.
Yeah.
I also have the individuals that come in here because they sustained some trauma in life. Either they were sexually assaulted, or they got they had a buddy of theirs blown up in combat, and they're dealing with that trauma.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, I need a place where I can decompress, where I'm not thinking about that 24/7. I need at least an hour of my day where I can focus on something else.
Yeah.
And and then I also have the individuals that they've been on the mat for a little bit and they make that switch and like, man, I want to be a world champion.
Yeah.
And so
that happened quite a bit.
We do have a few individuals that have made that transition.
Yeah.
We've had some individuals come in here already goal oriented that are amazing athletes that have become Pan Am champions, that have become that have made it to the very top of that podium. Guys like Hunter Colvin.
Yeah.
You know, it's a huge part of his jiu-jitsu journey has been this academy. And now he trains under one of my black belts, one of my students, James Partridge, who's the owner of Brothers Jiu-Jitsu, which is just a couple half a mile down the road.
Yeah.
So, and who's also an amazing instructor. You know? And so so we'll have all walks of life that come in here.
Yeah.
And backgrounds, beliefs, values, and we try to cater to the majority. We're not going to be able to cater to everyone, but that's why I tell people, go find the right place for you. Yeah. And but ultimately, most people know what they're getting into when they look at the website and they see veteran owned. And I'm not a veteran that, and no offense to this newer generation of veterans, I went into the military in the 90s, and I'm a Gen Xer. Yeah. So my generation is go to jail or go into the military. Yeah. And not saying that I was presented with that option, but I had the burning desire as a child to serve in the military. So that was always like, a huge goal of mine was to go into the military. And so when a person looks into this facility and they see it's veteran owned, they can expect a certain sense of structure, discipline,
for sure,
and the way that we operate. And that's not for everybody. It's not. I'm not going to roll out the red carpet, rainbows and butterflies to cater to that group of people. I'm just not.
Yeah, and that's disclosed on your website too.
It is.
On there. The one thing I love, my first impression experience, and that I've carried throughout my jiu-jitsu journey is, it doesn't matter what uniform you come in here with. Eventually you take the uniform off and you put on a gi, and at that point, once you step on the mat, for the most part, regardless of color of belt, you're all equal. I don't know what that person does for a living. I don't know what that person's political belief is, and I don't think anyone cares. They're here to train, grow, and get better. I think that's the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu. I just shared with you that, you sent a referral to my small business, and I would have had no idea what that person did for a living. Right. We don't sit and talk about what we do for a living. We sit and think about how can we survive before that buzzer goes off. You know what I mean on that part. Right. So have you what's the craziest story? Have you ever been in the gym and someone's walked in there and said, "I challenge you for your gym," Pete? Have you ever been challenged before? Or
I've been challenged before.
What did that look like?
And it's not the bodybuilder circulating on social media right now. It's not Kip.
Okay.
It's not Rambo. All right. But just to set the story straight.
Okay.
Those of you who have seen that video, has been circulating.
And I've shared that video 50 times myself.
It's been going around for about 10, 12 years now. But Kip, I'm not sure if he's still the owner, but he he runs a place called Discount Sport Nutrition.
Correct. Yeah.
Here in town, or used to run the place.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's sold the business, somebody else is taking over it.
Yeah.
But he used to do these little funny skits on YouTube when YouTube was the thing to be on, you know. So so he hit me up one day and he comes in and he says, "Hey, I'd like to do this skit where I come in and I challenge you." And I'm like, "Well, I suck at acting. I'm down. I mean, I can throw you around." And he's like, "Yeah, I want you to like slap the piss out of me too and like beat me up." And I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
So so he's like, "Well, I'll just come at you however, and you just counter with whatever."
Yeah.
And sure enough, like he came in, I tried to talk smack back. My acting skills suck.
I think I'm pretty good. I've seen it.
Yeah, my acting was horrible.
But the voice is so deep.
But
a little bit intimidating. They seem real, you know?
So he started in with the smack talking. He goes to like charge me. So I just like stuff a takedown. I pick him up and I throw him. And I just like start slapping.
Yeah.
I start slapping the hell out of him. And then we did a second challenge where he comes in and I at the time one of my female purple belts.
Jordan.
Yeah, I sicked her on him, and she slaps him. She didn't want to slap him around. She actually just like choked him out, and then he like challenges me again. So I smack him around again, and he had like this bloody mouth and all that.
And Jordan put him asleep, right?
That part was choreographed.
Okay,
you know?
okay, all right.
So I told him because I warned him. I was like, if you don't tap or whatever. There's a high chance that you might
for sure
defecate yourself or urinate yourself.
Yeah.
You know? So
he didn't want to do that.
He's like, I don't want that to happen. So I'll just pretend that I'm sleeping. So there was that. And then so he gets up from pretending to be asleep. You know, that part was choreographed. And he comes up and he starts attacking me again. So another thing, I throw him down again. And I smacked him around, and he's got this bloody mouth and spitting blood out.
Yeah.
He had a blood capsule. So just so you know.
Oh, wow. We're getting all the facts here on the show. Let's go.
So I don't want people to think that I was like this malicious guy.
That's good.
You know, throwing, you know, just trying to shut this guy up in front of everybody. You know, this was completely done for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
Which the good thing about that came out of all of this was Jordan's clip, because they used that in Mexico to promote self-defense for females.
Oh wow, so excellent!
That was awesome.
Outstanding, 100%. What would you say has been your? We're talking about challenges, but what would you say has been your biggest challenge as a small business owner during your journey running and operating a gym?
My ego.
Ego.
My ego. At first, when I was like going back to when I first came up on scene, I had invested a lot of time in some of my students, and I still invest a lot of time in my students. I don't just give them technique, but I also give them me, who I am. And I've broken bread with a lot of people, and we've gone out and watched fights together and gone to fights together and just just gone to family gatherings, going to weddings, going to divorces. So I've been there for a lot of students on and off the mats.
Yeah.
And when they do things behind your back and they decide to open up their own school and then poach from your own students, and take from the what takes from my family, you know, and what's putting food on the table, you know, it's hurtful. It was hurtful back then.
Yeah.
But I also have to think about, you know, my behavior, my actions, what I was doing that allowed them to think it was okay to go and do that. But also not only just okay, but was I that bad of a person for them to basically, you know, do this behind my back instead of approaching me like my 10 other black belts that have opened up their own schools now and say, hey, you know, I'm thinking about opening my own school. Can I get your blessing? Can I get your advice?
Yeah.
It wasn't like that 15, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, these people that I invested in, you know, they did it in a pretty scandalous way, but I also take ownership that I was the reason behind that too, because I was a hothead. I was not approachable. I was, um, I was a knucklehead.
Yeah.
And, now when I lose clients and people go to another place, for me, it's, hey, good on you.
Yeah.
Find the right place for you.
Yeah.
If you want to come back and cross train from time to time, happy to have you.
Yeah.
So putting my pride and my ego off to the side and reprogramming my brain and the way I look at things has made it a lot easier now whenever I have somebody that does decide to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And when I have affiliates that run to that same problem, I try to, have them understand that as well too, because they are going to have people that leave their academy. They're going to have people that join their academy from other academies.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to sit there and be angry about a person that leaves your gym, you should not accept a new client from another gym then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I welcome a new purple belt, a new black belt, and a new white belt, somebody that hasn't done jiu-jitsu from any gym.
Yeah.
And happy to have them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, I appreciate you sharing that. I know when I lose customers, very, very similar. When I first started my journey, I used to, go home and get in a shower naked in the corner, like, why me? Why did they leave? What did I do wrong? I'm not saying you did that, Professor, but that's what I did. Okay.
No, I at least keep my Speedos on.
Yeah, keep your But as my journey's gone on, now it's to the point where, hey, as long as the customer is happy, that's the most important thing. Usually I will follow up with the other business owner saying, hey, if anything comes from this or if you hear anything negative, please let me know, because it could be a good coaching opportunity for my team for us to better serve customers, because no one's perfect on that part. And I do feel like that you've done a really good job in establishing in your culture with your students also, because the ego thing can fly over to how you practice your growth in jiu-jitsu also. How long are you going to survive on the mats if you have an ego?
No, not you're not going to survive at all.
You're not going to survive at all, right?
But also, like when we lose clients and clients go somewhere else, sometimes it is good readings. It is good for some individuals to go and find another place.
Yeah.
I'm not the instructor for everybody.
Yeah.
Not every student is for me either. And I've had people here for, that it's they're better off going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that if they did go, I'm glad that when they did go somewhere else and they found happiness, that that they're being fulfilled over there.
Yeah.
But they were just not the clientele that I was going to cater to.
Yeah. So it's always good. You can always forgive, right? Doesn't mean you have to forget.
100%.
Okay. And I remember being in business and I helped someone get into the exact same business I was in. Within his first week, he was talking to the same referral resource that I had at the time, which some of those people that sent us business happened to be my customers too. And they called me up and said, hey, why is so-and-so coming over us and asking for us to switch to them when he's your friend? They didn't understand. So I called him up. I said, hey, look, you can take my customers or you can call me for help, but you can't do both. So you need to make a decision today. What's it going to be? And it's kind of drew that line in the sand, forgave, and just kind of move on. Before we wrap up, I would like to ask you, Professor, can you just tell us a little bit about the Blue Belt special you got going on? Do you still have that for academies? Can you just? I think that's incredible.
So I think that is very important for law enforcement and military. Might as well throw that in there as well too. But I think it's very important that for law enforcement to be able to put their skills that they learn in defensive tactics or in the police academy to use. They should be able to put that to use. But if they're not getting that training and on a regular basis, is just that skill set that they learn either in defensive tactics or that skill set that they learn at the police academy, that skill set is just going to dissolve and become, forgotten knowledge.
Yeah.
It's just something that they're not tapping into. So we offer free training till they from white belt to blue belt if they're in law enforcement, and it costs them absolutely nothing. They may have to go on Amazon and buy their own jiu-jitsu uniform if they so choose to go that route. I mean, they can always get a uniform from us, but I don't even push that. They can get their own uniform from Amazon or They
Yeah.
see a cool uniform online, they can get their own uniform, and we'll train them for free. And as you have experience, to get your blue belt in jiu-jitsu, it's not something that happens like that.
Definitely
It
not.
takes time.
Yeah.
And if you're training on a regular basis, 3-4 days a week, sometimes that may still take 2 to 3 years
Yeah.
to get your blue belt. So we want to be able to give them a place where they can train, not just in jiu-jitsu. Yes, obviously in jiu-jitsu, but we give them a place where they can train their Muay Thai, they can train their judo, some of the wrestling, and also on top of that, we have a fundamentals class that sometimes we circle around to weapon retention, weapon disarmament, what would be proper holes to get into like handcuffing procedures. And so everything that they've learned, some of the things that they have learned in the police academy or in defensive tactics, they're able to put it all together when they have a place to train on a regular basis.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing training annually, semi-annually,
Yeah.
or not at all.
Yeah.
So, and that's the key. Is they may very well not use anything that they used that they learned in the police academy, but it may have been something they learned here on the mats that allows them to control a suspect and allows them to put them in cuffs, send them to jail, and they can go home to their family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And I've got to meet numerous of those individuals that well, even significantly past blue belt now, being part of your school for a long period of time. And not only are they great jiu-jitsu and grappling, but they are just great individuals, great human beings,
And it blows my mind the amount of people that go into law enforcement or into the military that just can't fight,
Yeah.
or they just maybe don't. They quit like that.
Yeah.
They should honestly reconsider what their profession is going to be.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that. That's being a cop is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Going into the military is not for everyone.
Yeah.
But you should have a fighter instinct if you're going to take up any one of those two professions.
Take the guessing out of it, right? By showing up.
And then when it comes to our veterans, any veteran that comes to us that is 80% to 100% disabled through the VA. There's a certain rating system
Okay.
that they give military personnel. So if they fall within 80 to 100% disability rating, we train them for free as well.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's some really good stuff right there. And I know my experience here has been fantastic. And I've told you, unless you kick me out of here, which won't be easy, but you can do it. I'm going to be here till I get my red belt. Hopefully I get my red belt before you, Hey, real quick, can you just share how long it took to get your blue belt?
It took me 11 years.
11 years. So you were a black belt, like I said before, October 23rd, 2010, but it took you 11 years to get your blue belt?
Correct.
How did it take so long?
I was in the military at the time, and I was going from duty station to duty station, moving around a lot. So, and back then, a lot of schools were being ran by blue belts, maybe a purple belt.
Yeah.
So there was nobody there to rank me up. On occasion, they would have their black belt come and visit, and then that's when promotions would happen. But sometimes those were times when I was on deployment or I was out in the field and I could not be on the mats and be awarded a blue belt. So when I came to Oklahoma, one of Master Tavares's, who's my instructor, he had one of his students who's a black belt, and he just happened to be in the area and was like, you know what, I'd like to teach jiu-jitsu. And he came, and I was not under Master Tavares at the time.
Okay.
So Enrique is the name of that black belt. He's like, I'd like to teach jiu-jitsu at your school. So I brought him in. We had a little bit of a sparring session.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think we can make this work. And you come and teach a couple times a week, and I'll teach the other days. And so we had that agreement. But then he said, next time you step on the mats, though, you don't wear a white belt. So I looked at him perplexed. He's like, next time you come on the mats, you wear a blue belt. So
wow,
that was my blue belt promotion.
Wow. I remember one of the first times. Well, I don't remember the first 5 times. I think I passed out. Maybe the 6th time I rolled with you ever. And I remember rolling with you, man, and you were laughing so much. And I thought I was going real smooth, but looking back, because hindsight's 2020, I was really good. You know, that spazzy white belt was me. And the only thing that was important to me was counting how many times you were making me tap. And I think within 4 minutes, I got to from 15 to 20, you know, on that part. But then after, even though you made me tap, I was just like, why is Pete laughing so much, you know? But then after time occurred, I realized how crazy I was. Even though I thought I was going nice and slow motion, I was just crazy, and you were laughing the whole time. So how long does it take for a person to really kind of adapt that, you know, get used to that jiu-jitsu life? Is there a timeline? Is it different for everyone?
It is definitely different for everyone.
Yeah.
We'll get white belts that come on the mat and they do one of these, and you're like moving around them,
Yeah.
and they're just like doing this. You know, they're just kind of flopping over like a wet noodle.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and then we get the spazzy white belt.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, just slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I can choke you.
Yeah.
Or they'll just flop right into a trap.
Yeah.
You know? So we get them both.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get the right balance. You get a person that's going to flow just about right, you know, but usually it's, and honestly, that is like the majority. People will just kind of, they're not really sure what they're doing.
Yeah.
They'll move. They'll have that fighter instinct and be like, okay, I need to maybe face this way, or I need to adjust this way, or I need to not stick my head out like that. You know?
Yeah.
So we get a lot of people that come in here with good instincts.
Yeah.
But on occasion, we have the wet noodle, as
Yeah.
I like to call it. And on occasion, we also have that spazzy individual that I'm like, yeah, you need to make sure you pair it with blue belts, purple belts, brown belts, black belts, or the mat enforcer.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, and that's good advice. And for anyone that doesn't listen to someone like you when it comes to advice on the mat, you're probably going to get hurt on that part. Because there was one time when I was a white belt, teamed up with another white belt, and different story. Another experience that I got to experience quite early on, which I think is important in jiu-jitsu, is, you know, I played high-level sports. I played professional. I represented my country. I played college and all that stuff. So I know what it's like to push my body. Being underneath someone that may not be as big as you, but it feels like they're a lot bigger than you because they know how to move their body, and with that clock counting down, and you're thinking to yourself, man, like I feel like they're not even submitting you, but just the sheer weight and the pressure and just feeling, I've never felt this way before. And then hearing that buzzer go off and then all of a sudden coming up and wait, say, hold on a minute, I survived.
Mhm.
That wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. I think that definitely flows over to life. You know, you're driving down the road and someone's honking behind you and giving you the bird or whatnot. Before you, it's like, come on then, you would have a fight, do you, mate? But now it's just like, oh, well, you know, walk past you, you know, whatever. It's not a big deal. It's there's definitely been a great correlation from learning, you know, the ways of your journey in jiu-jitsu and then it flowing over. And I heard you say something very important one time is, Chris, often once someone gets settled, the way someone rolls can be a correlation to how they live their life.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
So if they're coming out here and, you know, acting all douchebaggery, as one may say, you know, and not being respectful and hurting people, you know, they're probably a liability in society. Have you seen that?
They probably treat their spouse like crap. You
Yeah.
know, or they kick their dog.
Yeah.
So,
Or their cat.
Or their cat.
Yeah.
Or they just kick themselves all the time. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, but either way, we often see that. Sometimes that spazzy person is the one that one of the cops just said, hey, you know, we just arrested so and so. I'm like, well, I'm glad he canceled his membership.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, it's often the ones that are on the mats that are pretty cerebral and they're very collected. You know, they're usually doing pretty well in their life off the mat as well too,
Yeah.
or in their business as well.
Yeah.
You know, they're taking some of the lessons, and that's not to say that there's not hope for the individuals that come in here
Yeah.
spazzy or.
Yeah. I mean, because I was once that spazzy for
So,
a
I
short
mean,
while. Yeah.
But when you learn to slow down a little bit and analyze what's going on,
Yeah.
usually there's also some progress off the mats as well too.
Yeah.
You know, you end up going back to dating your wife.
Yeah.
You know, you end up going back to being more engaged in your relationship with your children, or you end up becoming a little bit more productive in the workspace as well too. You
Yeah.
have a better relationship with your boss, your coworkers. So yeah, there's a huge benefit to jiu-jitsu, And other than the fact that you also build some confidence as well too, because when you got somebody flipping you the bird out in the street, you're like, your first instinct sometimes is just like, man, come on, get out of the car,
Yeah.
let's do this,
Yeah.
But now it's like, man, you have no idea what
Yeah.
I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah. I kind of know how it'll go down, so there's no
Right.
point even wasting time on that part. Yeah. Excellent. Well, let me ask you this, Professor Pete. How can people find you? How can people find the Fight Center, social media, or
Well, they can find the gym by a simple Google search. We
yeah,
do a search for Triton Fight Center, and if you just add .org after that, that's my website, TritonFightCenter.org. I'm also on social media on Facebook. On Facebook, we have the gym, so you do search for Triton Fight Center. We're on there. On Instagram, same thing, Triton Fight Center, and you can find me on Instagram. My name is spelled a little bit weird. It's Piet for Pete,
yeah,
and then Wilhelm, Wilhelm. So you can find me on social media as
yeah,
well too. I'm not. I've canceled and shut down my social media plenty of times, so I'm back in the humble beginnings of social
yeah,
media.
yeah,
I went from over 5,000 followers at one point, and I lost track, and then I shut it all down, started from scratch, and I'm just just getting my numbers back up there again. But the things that I post, it's me.
yeah,
I keep it real. It's things that I got going on in my life, with my family, my relationship with Christ, with the gym, my students. Sometimes I share experiences just to try to help people out.
yeah,
And I do have a few people that will message me on there with sometimes questions about a technique, or they'll about their experience as a gym owner.
yeah,
How do I deal with it? What has been my experience? So I'll get on there and give some people advice as well
yeah,
too. Social media has been a good way for me to stay in touch with some of my friends that live in other parts of the world and other parts of the country, keeping
yeah,
in touch with them. The reason I got out of it in the first place was because of the toxicity that went with it.
yeah,
But I was allowing that toxicity,
yeah,
and it's as simple as a block
yeah,
or delete.
yeah,
Instead of getting so worked up about it.
yeah,
And do I still get hate mail? Absolutely, I get hate mail just like anybody probably.
yeah. But
Um,
just like Mr. Kip, they can always come on the mat and sign a waiver,
correct, correct.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I personally want to thank you as one small business owner to another. I feel like we're better together, and you've been a big advocate of my small business. So I want to just thank you very much for that. The individuals, not just at this gym, but the whole lineage and family of gyms around in the Tulsa, Oklahoma, OKC area and everything like that. Just great people. And I feel like as small business owners, we come together, we help one another, we help each other grow, and we're all singing the same song. And so it's I've always admired your leadership and the culture and the values that you have. So thank you for your vote of confidence on the small business and allowing us to collaborate with you. And again, this is just one small podcast helping small business owners overcome obscurity in the marketplace, even though you don't really need that because you're sending your business to other places too when they come in here, because there's enough love for everybody. But I think everybody can take a leaf from that page or a leaf from that tree. There's enough business to go around. And if you do things the right way, you're going to continue to grow.
I appreciate you having me on this. And although our businesses are not the same, my business is essentially teaching people how to defend themselves, giving them some skill sets to better themselves, protect their families, build some self-confidence. Your business is obviously the business of insurance, but obviously when we surround ourselves with like-minded individuals, it's no different than Proverbs 27:17, us sharpening one another,
Yeah.
and aligning yourself with like-minded individuals, and having people that hold you accountable for when you're falling off that path a little bit is extremely important.
Yeah.
Not just being around people that are going to blow smoke up your butt,
Yeah.
but keeping it real,
Yeah.
grabbing you and saying, hey,
Yeah.
that you need to make an adjustment here.
Yeah.
And I've been very blessed to have people in my life to hold me accountable whenever I'm falling off the tracks a little bit, especially my lovely wife that, more than once behind the scenes, she has told me how much of a knucklehead I was in certain areas. And the fact that I have this love and this devotion and respect towards her, I get a little butt hurt a little bit, when I first hear it. But at the end of the day, when I get grounded and I take a moment and I realize that she's right, and she's right usually 99% of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is crazy because she is younger than I am and she has not experienced some of the experiences that I have. But she's very good about looking at things from a different perspective and holding me accountable.
Yeah.
So, and I would encourage anybody out there, either it being business, it being relationship, whatever, it's to make sure that they have people like that in their lives so that they can be walking a path that God put them on this earth to do.
Yeah.
To serve one another.
Yeah, amen. I think that's very important. And I'll be transparent with you. Before I joined your gym, my wife used to pretty much kick my ass for the most part. But I only needed one stripe on my belt, and then that came to an end pretty quick. And I think she kind of liked it that I was doing jiu-jitsu after that. You know what I mean? So
she likes seeing you roll around with other sweaty men.
I think so. She used to joke around a lot at the beginning, but she realized I won't give it up anytime soon. Yeah. So the jokes subsided, and she knows I can handle business,
She probably prefers the days when you come in here for no-gi.
Yeah, probably so, yeah. But when I come home, my leotard. Yeah, 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, take care of yourself and each other. This is Professor Piet Wilhelm with the Triumph Fight Center. I'm Chris Mathurin. If your small business wants to overcome obscurity in the marketplace, give us a shout, slide in the DMs, and we'll get you on the show. Until next time, take care of yourself. And rear naked choke, put me to sleep in 3, 2. See, the man, myth, and legend. Peace.